Hello guys, welcome back to our channel, Mystery Recaps. Today, I will show you a horror mystery film from 2008 titled Mirrors. There are spoilers ahead. Watch out and be cautious. Gary is observed running through a tube station in an attempt to escape. He gains access to a locked door and opens it by force. Once inside, he proceeds to a window, only to discover that it has been bricked up. All the lockers in the room open simultaneously, revealing their mirrors. Here, he approaches the room's enormous mirror and declares that he was not attempting to flee. The mirror is beginning to shatter, and he is attempting to clean it up, but he breaks off a piece. He apologizes and goes to retrieve the piece, but his mirror image remains in place. The man sees a fragment of mirror in his reflection, and the reflection uses it to kill him. The man turns off his alarm, gets out of bed, examines his reflection in the bathroom mirror, and then consumes a tablet dissolved in water. He bids his sister Angie farewell and assures her that everything will be fine. Then he walks to an abandoned estate where Lorenzo, the security guard, lets him in. As they approach the destroyed structure, Lorenzo explains that he worked there when the fire destroyed it. He informs him that the owners are still engaged in a legal dispute with the insurance company after 5 years. Prior to becoming a store, the structure was a hospital that closed in the 1950s. Ben is unwilling to answer Lorenzo's question regarding his departure from the police force. Finally, he leads Ben to the security trailer. Meanwhile, the building's mirrors come to life. Later, Amy returns home and inquires of her housekeeper, Rosa, about the children. She informs her that they are with Ben upstairs. Amy approaches and finds them playing and conversing. When she tells him that she was the only person who ever believed in him, she becomes enraged. While listening to them argue, their son apologizes. However, they continue fighting. The kiss is passionate. It is evident that they both care deeply for one another. Despite this, she pulls away and informs him that she can no longer continue. That evening, Ben is at work, still adjusting to his new surroundings. In the cabinet, he discovers a bottle of whiskey, but he sets it aside. The alarm sounds, and he begins an interior building patrol. The interior of the burnt store resembles a nightmare. Bring to life, Ben arrives at the Department of Cosmetics. Before leaving, he examines his reflection in one of the mirrors and cleans the dirt from his uniform. The door leads to a steep staircase that brings Ben to a basement that is flooded. He turns on the lights, and the reflection's door slams shut. The following day, Ben is at home taking another tablet when his sister arrives and tells him to stop. She expresses concern for him, and he explains that although he dislikes his new job, he needs it to support Amy and his children. He does not wish to spend the rest of his life sleeping on her couch. She suggests that he consider getting a day job, then looks in the mirror and observes that his face is melting. And upon her return, he tells her to leave him alone and depart. He believes he is losing his mind after a second look at himself reveals nothing abnormal. Later, he is on another work patrol, surveying the charred mannequins and mirror-covered walls. When he believes someone is behind him, he examines a second mirror and matches his palm print to the reflection. When it fractures and penetrates, looking back at it, the mirror is broken and a woman in flames suddenly appears behind him before vanishing. He cleanses and dresses his wound. Ben examines Gary's wallet and discovers a note containing the letters S.A. It has writing on it. He re-enters the building and ascends to the cosmetics department on the second floor. When he arrives, he examines the walls and hears a woman screaming in agony. He determines the source of the sound and runs in its direction. The burning woman is only visible in the mirror's reflection. Michael then awakens screaming, and when Amy goes to comfort him, he claims that a woman is screaming in the mirror. She tells him it was only a nightmare before leaving his room with the door unlocked. She goes to bed, and when she turns off the television, the woman reappears in Michael's mirror and on the television screen. Later, Ben is at the bar where Angie works, relating his experience to her. She believes it's due to the stress of everything going on in his life. However, Ben is fixated on mirrors and their prevalence. He has the impression that the reflection is staring back at him. Angie urges him to communicate with someone and to get some rest. Ben is sleeping when someone knocks at his door. Gary delivers a package to him. The newspaper contains articles about the store fire and the man who confessed to setting it on fire. Ben arrives at work as Lorenzo is leaving, and he wishes to discuss what he has observed. However, Lorenzo informs him that the police have visited and informed him of Gary's passing. As they enter the freezer room, the pathologist informs them that he committed suicide. However, the police continue to investigate. Ben is informed by the pathologist that he used a piece of mirror. The word S.A. appears in his reflection when he looks at his body. Ben also requests his file and convinces Amy to assist him. He examines the photographs of the crime scene and shows Amy one in which the weapon is visible, only to find that the reflection of the weapon has blood on it, whereas the actual weapon has none. Ben has begun to believe that the mirrors are causing us to do things against our will by displaying an illusion. Amy advises him to refrain from such language if he wishes to be reinstated. Angie is later preparing to take a bath. She removes her robe and walks to the bathtub alongside her reflection, which remains in the mirror. When he escapes their grasp and sees the body, he vomits in the sink and then weeps over her corpse in the mortuary, while Amy tells Larry that Ben would never harm his little sister. The majority of Larry's story is consistent with the facts, but his colleague informed the police that Ben intended to quit his job. He informs Amy that he will be released because there is no reason to keep him. She approaches him with the request that he stay with her and the children at home, but he is unwilling to put them in danger. Amy misunderstands Ben and instructs him to tell Larry everything he knows about the mirror. He informs Ben that he is deceased, but provides the name of the asylum where he was held. Ben speaks with his physician, who informs him that the patient believed there were two distinct realities. During the interview, he appears in the interviews with Barry. The man states that the mirror killed his family because he was unable to locate Azuka, and then expresses concern for Amy and the children. So he goes to the house and removes all the mirrors, frightening Rosa and the children. When he is unable to remove one from his daughter's room, he covers it with paint. Amy arrives because Rosa called her, and when she sees what he is doing, she becomes enraged. She requests his departure, and he responds that he will do so after covering the mirror. Amy does not comprehend what is occurring. She informs Ben that Michael's peculiar behavior is a result of his influence. He takes her outside to demonstrate the situation, but when he shoots the mirror, it does not heal. The youngsters are observing him through the window. Fearful of what is occurring, Amy begs him to put away the gun and enter the house. However, he drives away in a car. When he sees Angie in the rearview mirror, he is unable to calm down and nearly causes an accident. He punches a hole in the wall and enters a room containing a strange device. He enters the apparatus containing a chair in its center. He notices the restraints on it and then the mirrors surrounding it. Ben continues to observe his reflection until it suddenly shoots at him. Later, he calls Larry again and requests that he locate the former hospital's patient employee, Manifest. Before he hangs up, Ben instructs him to search for a patient or employee with the name Massacre. Larry instructs him to lower his head. That night, they meet and Larry gives him all of the NSA medical files he could locate. Because they pertain to a cold case, Larry discovered the files in their evidence storage. The girl was only 12 years old at the time of her commitment. She died alongside the other hospital patients who murdered each other on the same night. The hospital was subsequently shut down. Their physician was arrested, but the next day he hanged himself with a piece of the cell mirror. He then returns home and investigates Eska's files. Michael is conversing with an individual in his room while seated in front of the mirror. Amy sees his reflection still in the mirror as he stands up. She approaches the mirror after the child has left, and her reflection smiles at her. Amy calls Ben and tells him to come to her house because she is terrified after seeing her reflection. Now that she believes him, they are seen covering every reflective surface in the house, from windows to televisions. He then bids farewell to the children, followed by Amy, who regrets not having believed him. Ben travels to Pennsylvania in search of Hannah. He takes a dirt road after seeing her name on the mailbox. Ben reaches the residence and recognizes it from the photograph. He knocks on the door, and when no one answers, he approaches the window, only to be startled by a dog. The old man takes him to the basement, where they used to confine her during her violent fits. He informs Ben that they tried every priest, healer, and physician in the county, but no one was able to assist her. Ben enters and observes the condition of the girl's confinement location. According to her brother, the doctor was the only one who responded to their cries for assistance. He did not believe in demon possession and believed he could assist her. Ben asks the brother where she went after being discharged from the hospital, but he believes she died there. Ben informs the man that he is aware that she was dismissed earlier and discovers that she remained with them for a short time. She left because strange things began to occur with the house's mirrors after the girl was completely cured. He asks the brother where he can find her, and the brother informs him that she was sent to a monastery where mirrors are prohibited, so they cannot reach her. He then goes to the monastery and requests to speak with Anna. Ben informs Anna that he came to ask why the hospital's mirrors are so desperate to find her. He begs for assistance to save his family and explains that mirrors are the windows to our world. What desires to find her is contained within them. The anti-schizophrenia treatment prescribed by Dr. Kane consisted of requiring patients to spend days in a room filled with mirrors. But he was in error, and it was not treated. Since leaving her body, the demon has been collecting the souls of those it has killed within the mirrors. She believes that if she returns, they will use her to cross the threshold back into the real world. Ben tries to persuade her, but she refuses to do it. He describes the murders and shows her a photograph of his family to help her understand whom he is attempting to save. Amy drops the phone as she feels something move behind her. Ben storms into Anna's room while simultaneously threatening to take her with him. Amy is turning off all the pipes. When she reaches the one in the bathtub, she sees Michael in the reflection and begins to drown after being pushed under the water by Michael. Simultaneously, the daughter hears her mother's voice calling her and enters her room. As she enters the house, she sees her mother and her reflection behind her. The reflection seizes her and begins to cut her. When the real Amy enters the room and pulls the reflection away from the mirror, the reflection becomes enraged that they escaped. Amy conceals her daughter in the closet and instructs her not to leave no matter what is thrown at her. The house continues to flood, but Amy descends to the first floor to locate Michael. He is using a knife to remove the pane from the mirror. Michael tells Amy not to be afraid, as he simply wants to play with her. He flees with a knife, and she pursues him, seeing his reflection under the chair and concluding that he is hiding from her. The reflection strikes her and flees. In the interim, Ben returns Anna to the structure. The moment they enter, things begin to appear in all surrounding mirrors. They descend to the basement, where Ben helps her to a chair because her eyes are closed. She tells him that securing her to the chair is the only way to save his family. Amy returns to the house and discovers Michael sitting in the water. As she approaches him, his reflection looks at her and then submerges him. Amy is unable to save him, so he drowns. And Intel has left her inside and begins to pray as the demon approaches the mirror reality. When she opens her eyes, all of the building's mirrors explode, killing her instantly. Michael is also extracted from the water, and Amy administers Keep Here until he spits out the water. The building's mirrors are completely destroyed. The individual then enters the mirror chamber, but finds nothing there. When he hears something scurrying on the walls, the demon possesses Anna's body. Ben fires at it, but it continually avoids his shots. He is eventually attacked, thrown out of the room, and dragged throughout the basement. Ben battles a demon, but is able to force her onto a gas pipe. When he shoots at it, the entire structure bursts into flames. As Ben attempts to escape the building, it begins to crumble. The demon attacks him once more, but he pushes it away, and it becomes trapped beneath the rubble. Ben is captured as well. Thankfully, he climbs out of the debris and walks outside, where a police car is waiting. Police officers and firefighters pass by him without noticing him. He approaches Lorenzo and notices that his badge is upside down. The signs on the automobiles are identical. He finally examines the wound on his hand, only to discover that it is on the wrong one. Ben steps outside, but is unable to observe his reflection. When he presses his palm against a mirror, his imprint appears on the opposite side. Be sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you can view similar videos. Thank you for viewing.